What is up, everybody? So today I thought I would do the story behind the painting episode of my first painting because it's kind of a weird story. So here it is. This is a painting of the angel Metatron as I visualize him. Now, in the book of, I think it's Third Enoch, it has a description of Metatron. Nothing like this. Nothing like this. This is my own conception of him. It kind of goes beyond gender. But as you can see, what I did for this one is I took 3 trees of life and fused them together in the middle. And this came from my own working of, I had this idea of kind of triunar, or not, yeah, triunity, I guess, of action, like love being blue, selflessness, selfishness, and then non-self at all, non-dual, which was represented by these 3 colors. And then wisdom was represented by green, and then I had purple being attachment, and then orange being apathy, or kind of like detached, but still kind of caring in a way. So I wanted it to be like a complete human being who is balanced in every respect. As you can see, there's a tree of life also, like kind of merged into him with Keter, I think it's Gevura, Gedula, and all the rest of them, Tippereth. And I will say that I'm not too versed in the Kabbalah, either the K, Q, or C version of it. I am fascinated by the subject, and I think it's great to look into, but I also know that it's not part of my religion or anything. So I try to approach it from a more respectful attitude towards it, as it not being like it being very interesting, but not something that I like. I wouldn't ever call myself a Kabbalist or anything. But it is a very interesting part of magic, I think, is at least. But at one point, I had this vision of love as being something that radiates, that goes out, that is constantly giving of itself without ever trying to get anything back. Whereas selfishness, or ego, as I call it, because I wouldn't say that hate is the balance for love, because hate is still part of attachment and everything. But it's not hate, but as much as needing to absorb, so to take back in, whereas love is give out, selfishness is to take back in, but it's still for another. It's whatever it is, it's still for something, for yourself or for another. Whereas non-self, or the non-dual part, passivity, so you have outward going, inward going, and passive, or negative, or positive, negative, passive. And then the non-dual part is the balance between these two, where you recognize that you have to have a balance of neither being selfish nor selfless. You're taking yourself out of the equation. You're looking at life as an observer rather than as a participant. And so, like, the bridge between selflessness and selfishness is attachment. Because either way, you're attached because you're doing it for someone or you're doing it for yourself. It's always for a self. Whereas when you get to this side, you become very detached. And detachment is not necessarily a bad thing when it comes to certain situations. But when it comes to ego, and then plus detachment, you have apathy, which is a very negative connotation of being detached. You just don't care whether someone lives or dies. You wouldn't give a shit, but it's more kind of like depressing, rather than like life goes on either way. Death is a part of life. It's more of like the kind of like, I don't care if I die, rather than, doesn't matter if I die because I'm going to die one day anyways. Do you understand the difference of what I mean? It's that that bridge of apathy that really connects these two. And then wisdom is knowing that you can be selfless and detached at the same time. So wisdom is looking at the situation, being slightly detached, but also knowing that you can improve the situation. You're looking to give of yourself for another, but looking to do it in a way that actually helps the other person instead of just giving blindly. Like there's some people that just kind of donate to every charity or whatever, and then they don't realize that some of those charities aren't even giving to the poor. They might be just kind of doing their own thing or just getting screwed over because they're so selfless, they just become a doormat. Whereas wisdom is not being a doormat, but giving to those that actually need help, rather than people that just want to be a parasite and want to just purely be ego, just purely want to take. So wisdom is the balancing force of selfishness, because with wisdom you see that it's not all about me. It is, as much as like I need to take care of myself, this part, I also need to make sure I take care of others and not be too overly attached to what happens to them, because sometimes they don't want help. Sometimes people don't want your help. Sometimes people will never thank you. And that's why you have to be slightly detached. So it's a balance of the pure human soul. And as you can see here, I tried to do it according, like, this is my first painting. First time I've painted since I was like a kid. So it's not my greatest, but there's little bits of silver and gold in there that you can kind of see. And I really enjoyed making this. And this is what set me off on really thinking, hey, maybe I could just start doing paintings. And it started off just as a hobby. This is something I just really like painting. And this, like, as you see, he's got the third eye, or he, she, it. It's beyond sexuality. The third eye right in the middle, that's receiving knowledge from the upper divine realms. I tried to do this according to the golden mean ratio, but very naive on how to do that at that point. But you can see there's certain proportions to it. But I think this is probably one of my best works, because I didn't know what I was doing, but it came out a lot better than I expected. And I try to use this character in some of my other pieces that I will be doing in the future. He represents spirit and intellect. Well, not necessarily intellect, but mostly spirit, and that drive toward the divine that humans have. At least most humans have. Some people don't really care too much, but I think that we all have a certain innate drive towards divinity, towards the other. Yeah, that's it for this painting. There are prints of this on my store at EzekielSchmidtArt.com. I'll put the link tree in the description. So go check that out if you want a little print of that. And I will see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like so that way I can tell what is going well and what isn't. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and then you can see more of my art stuff. I'm going to try to diversify into other things as well, but for right now, I'm just learning YouTube. So, peace.